Let me all welcome you to the planning board meeting of April 26th, I believe. If we could salute the flag, say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, Mr. Planner.
Sir.
At this time, sitting in for the retired Mr. Mackey, I ask you what I am to do.
Well, typically, in the places I've been before, the first order of business is that chairman, and since the chairman's retired, the vice chair takes that seat, as we talked about at the meeting on the 12th. You would typically call for nominations for the chair, the vice chair, and clerk.
Okay.
And usually the chair is the first one that's done. And after the vote of the chair, you can go through the rest of them, or you can, the chair can run the rest of them. I'm not saying that, I'm not making the assumption that nobody's voting for you because you're
No, very well.
But so anyhow, whoever's the chair runs the rest of the meeting, but you can go through the whole thing. It's probably easiest that way to run through the nominations.
Absolutely.
After you got three, move the seats around, conduct the rest of the meeting.
All right, then why don't we play musical chairs and start? So I open it up for nomination of the chair.
I'd nominate Kevin Robinson as chair.
I also nominate Kevin Robinson as chair.
Will there be a second?
That's a second.
So if
You got a motion and a second.
I have a nomination to nominate Connie Shea for chair.
So I think, based on what I heard at town meeting and I was studying, if you got a motion on the floor, you gotta vote that first motion before the second motion.
Very well.
You got a motion and a second. So if I can just say one thing in the interim, and I don't know if this affects anybody's vote or anybody's idea about what they might wanna do, is that I'm the interim town planner. But I'll be here for your next few meetings. In fact, I'm taking the gig, so I'll be here for most all of them. If that's helpful, great. If there's time to get a recount, so if you go, no, we really don't want that guy here helping out. So I'm going to be here, which will help the transition for the board. In addition to training, we're doing things like that. So if it gives any comfort of anybody who's going to take any position, you'll have as professional a staff as you've got right now. Here for the interim, if that helps.
We appreciate it, Tom. We appreciate the work you do, even especially the educational aspects of it are very important.
Well,
And I believe we have a training this week?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
And I've got homework for you, got packets for you, advanced, you don't have to do homework, but you got stuff beforehand, so you can look over what we're gonna be talking about tomorrow. So with that, you got a motion, but I think.
So given the fact that I appreciate the fact that I've been nominated, I don't feel as though I would be able to serve the town as dedicated as Mr. Mackey was for the position, because personally, I running a business and have a family and would not be able to do it due justice in researching and checking the data that's really necessary for that. I would certainly like to fill in the position, continue to fill in as vice, but I would not feel comfortable taking on a role that I don't think I'm not necessarily worthy of, but wouldn't have the time to apply myself as the job needs to be.
So we got a motion, we got a second, we got a man who says, I think somebody's really good at this job and it might not be me. I'm willing to do what I can to help. I'm paraphrasing.
Thank you.
So with that, call for a vote,
Okay.
and then take your next motion.
So I call for a vote,
A roll call or?
a roll call.
Well, based on what you're saying, I'm gonna have to vote nay.
I'll vote nay. You get a vote, Kevin.
So I'm gonna vote nay.
So, I guess as long as you're comfortable, I will vote nay for you.
And I will vote nay.
All right.
You have your unanimous support.
Yeah,
You don't always get that. So,
Thank you.
you're crushing
I
it so far.
appreciate that. No, I just feel as though this town, Mr. Mackey served this town in such a way that I don't think I could fill the shoes by the amount of research and the amount of time that he had to put in to do it. And I would nominate Connie Shea based on the fact that his research is fantastic and the data that he checks would make me feel comfortable serving him as vice chair, and therefore I would nominate Connie Shea.
I'll second that.
You will accept. You will accept.
Oh, I will accept my nay.
You will accept nominations for.
Oh, accept nominations for Connie Shea.
And I'll second that.
Well, you have to make the motion.
Okay, so I make a motion to vote Connie Shea in as our new town planner. I'm sorry.
Chair.
Yes.
New
Chair-
for us.
Chairman.
I won't second myself.
Alright, I'll second it.
So it's open for discussion. I feel much the same that Kevin does, but I feel that between the two of us, Kevin has far more experience but has turned down the position. Honestly, I would agree that I'm not the best choice for the job, but I'll leave it up to the board to decide.
Will do. So then I'll take a roll call.
I vote yay.
I'll vote yay.
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 Yay, there's a new chairman.
So we have our new chairman. So at this time, I will step out of this. Do I step out of this position?
People sometimes
Or
do, or you
do-
can just where you're at.
now
the
do
camera, the camera's got a good sweep. We can just, people can stay in their chairs. They got their stuff stacked up. Connie can run
Okay.
the meeting from there if that's fine with you guys.
So now I will open up for vice chair.
I nominate John Gasky as vice chair.
And I would like to nominate Kevin Robinson as vice chair.
So we need a second
I'll
for
second.
John Gasky.
I'll second. For the purposes of discussion, I will second it. So,
Which one are you seconding? Kevin or John?
John Gatsky is vice chair, but I'll just say that Kevin's been on the board a long time and is a valuable source of experience for this board too. So, but I'll leave it up to everybody to decide.
So can I
So-
nominate Kevin?
But we got a motion. We don't have we got a second for discussion. So let's run
So
through
we're
our,
looking for a second.
we got a second for vice chair.
Okay.
So let's have a vote on the vice
All
chair.
right.
Well, last time we had a chat from the guy who got nominated. We got a chat from the guy who's nominated. Anything to say about your
I
presumptive
don't
nomination?
really have a whole lot to say. I'll accept it. Of course, if I'm voted in, then I would do the best job that I can. Put as much as I can into it.
Okay, so you're a yay.
Sure.
Okay, Connie.
Oh, yay.
Nay.
Nay.
Yay.
Okay.
So that's 3-2.
So that was a nay?
Yay.
Oh, yay. Okay. So
So
John
John
Gasky
is vice chair.
All right. And you got a clerk.
And I will open it up for clerk.
Could I nominate Kevin for clerk?
I'll second.
I'll accept for clerk. So, John,
Yay.
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 All right. I believe we have repositioned.
Fabulous. There is some paperwork to come with that. We got some signatures we sign, we send to the registry of deeds. But we can do all that stuff tomorrow, when we hope to have a full house across the street. Right? Excellent. So with that, Chairman Shea, there's a packet. Do you have a packet over there that says Chairman on it?
No. This says Kevin. This is the packet for chairs, is this what you're talking about?
Yep, correct.
Okay.
So,
I don't know. Are we moving around?
I think we're all comfortable where we are,
Okay.
if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine.
so what this is just from our procedures and just, it kind of lays out the things you're gonna be doing on a regular basis at some point in the future, just to give you a sheet to help keep things moving along.
So, it's gonna be my new tattoo for the next year, right?
But I'll be here, do what I can to
Alright.
help you out. So
So,
the agenda.
we'll open it up.
And hearing notices are back there because the chair usually reads the hearing notices as well. But we've got all those, we got you back.
alright.
Alright?
Keep me in line.
Chairman, may I say a few words?
Please do.
To all my fellow board members, I've been thinking about how important it is to work together as a team. When we were elected to our positions, we took an oath to serve this town in its best interest. I believe we must put our own agendas aside and work towards building the future for the generations to come. We need to encourage new business as well as industries that are beneficial and follow our bylaws. We may agree to disagree in a professional manner. Let's leave a positive legacy, not just for today, but tomorrow as well. As a side note, I hope that we can be more efficient and view our operating procedures that define the conduct of these meetings and helps us to stay on course, especially considering time. So I'm hoping that we can stay within a good time span, not more than 3 hours perhaps.
Let's hope so.
And,
Actually, that's-
that's all I have to say, but I hope we can work together as a team and do wonderful things for this great town of ours.
I think that was well said, and I think every member of this board can get behind a statement like that.
Thank you.
I certainly hope so. Alright, so,
One of the
yes,
things-
sir.
Because we are all very eloquent, very
Yes.
soft-spoken, the chair regularly reminds folks to speak into the microphones because our recording secretary is watching either on the stream or the recording. So always step into the mic and say what you
Right,
gotta say.
if you can't hear yourself, then it's not picking it up.
Thank you.
Right, our first order of business is an approval not required plan, frontage on a public way, Main Street, Route 58, map 6170.
Mike works.
I know you sent, Mr. Bott, you sent out a notice saying that this was full and complete.
Yes, as I have been doing what I can for you, I put together a memorandum. Essentially depicting the lot has frontage on a way, which is the primary requirement for endorsing an A&R plan, is frontage on a way, public way. And I typically tend to look at, is the land that's being borrowed from, will be made non-conforming by that, and that it will not be the case either. So we're creating a conforming lot from a conforming lot, and everything stays conforming. It's prepared in conjunction with regulations, and it's proper for endorsement.
Thank you very much. It has, as you can see, it has more than 150 feet of frontage and over 60,000 square feet. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to this?
Yep, yes, my name is Kenneth Conti. I'm with Beals and Thomas, the surveyors who prepared the plan. And I think Mr. Bott described the property and the plan very accurately, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but it's basically a straightforward A&R plan with creating two lots with adequate frontage and area. on Main Street, Route 58.
Excellent. I will accept a motion in regards to the A&R plan for, you'll have to forgive me. Main Street, Route 58, lot. Map 61-7-0.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
And the chair will open it to the board for discussion. Seeing no discussion, I will ask for a roll call vote, please.
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And do we have a copy of the Mylar here?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get that signed for you and out.
All right.
Okay?
Alright, so public hearing notice. I don't have the public hearing notice for our next item. It's been read, and I think this is a continued hearing.
This is a continuance.
Yes. So,
So if you would just read what's on the agenda, the application.
so the next item on the agenda is the application of Carrie Galbraith requesting a special permit pursuant to sections 5300 and 2230 of the Carver zoning bylaw, located at 72 North Main Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 1812-2R, to operate a doggy daycare in a general business district. I think we got a little more information this week in regards to that.
Yeah, if I may.
Yes,
Chairman.
please.
So, I have been working with the applicant over the past couple months and trying to line up the things that were a concern at the previous hearing, which is on February 22nd. So over the last day or so, I've been putting together a memo that got done a little before the meeting that you likely haven't seen quite yet. So if I may just walk through sort of the points on the memorandum, I think that will help a lot. So I'm just going to read here. I received multiple emails with sketches and pictures from Carrie Galbraith, the applicant for the dog daycare. I've assembled this information into an 11x17 plan to give to the board. Looks like this. I believe you have it on your desk. It was not in your original packet, but it should be on your desk as you arrived today. Said the selectmen were here a little late, so we didn't quite have a chance to get everything sort of lined up prior to. So you're not seeing this?
No, my desk was empty when I got here.
Okay.
Oh, I have one. I have the big one.
Here now.
Is there a significant difference between the two?
There is. So as I'll explain in just a moment here. So I've assembled this information on an 11x17 plan to give the board the best depiction of the proposal for the board's consideration. There aren't any particular specs in the bylaw, but per building commissioner, it's determined that this is a use that can be permitted in Carver. The application was filed on December 9th, 2021. And has been continued 2 times as we vetted the project. It states the principal products or services to provide dog daycare, boarding, training, and exit baths. Carrie requested as a condition of her permitting a staffing level of 1 staff per 12 dogs. Proposed hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, depending on clients' needs. She noted in previous testimony that most dogs are in the facility between 8 and 9 a.m. and most dogs leave by 6 p.m. Traffic for the facility will be one-way with one-way arrows and signs directing vehicles to enter at the north entrance and exit out the south entrance. There is currently one continuous curb cut approximately 115 feet along the entrance at Main Street. At the 2/22/22 hearing, discussions about outdoor activity included a maximum number of 30 dogs outside at one time, with an overlap of 15 dogs going in as 15 dogs came out. Another suggestion was limiting outdoor activity to between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. The health agent had some initial concerns about the proximity of a well to the outside dog area. The well is reportedly inside of the building. Dog waste, in parentheses it says poop in case people weren't clear on which waste we were talking about, because there's two of them they do. This is number 2. Would be bagged and discarded in the dumpster. Urine inside the building would be mopped up using a product, the odor ban, I think is what it was called. And pet turf would be used outside. Any grooming would likely require, per the health agent, a gray water tank. The building commissioner, at the fire department's request, also confirmed that the RFP sheets or the HDPE sheets for partition walls were fine with them. The fire department has also requested a written procedure for disaster and emergency management according to, and I won't read all those letters of the fire code. I forwarded this information submitted on Monday, which the Carver Fire Department is reviewing. From the previous request of the fire department, the gate locations have been repositioned. You'll see them on the plan, highlighted in sort of a yellow shade there. There are 4 rolling gates on the side, 2 on each side to form a sally port. So there's not just one gate between the outside fenced area and the street. So at the back, there's a gate. In the middle, there's a gate. So if a dog comes through the gate, they can't bolt all the way for the street. Brooke Monroe, the conservation agent, reports that she met with Carrie on site, and they have submitted an RDA that'll be scheduled for May 18th Conservation Commission. The applicant hired March Matters Environmental. I believe you have a copy of their report. And they prepared a stamp plan for conservation. I use that stamp plan, this large plan that you just mentioned, Mr. Gasky, is the basis for that 11 by 17 to try to add the extra things that we've gotten in just to have them sort of all in one space for you. So the RDA, and not that I'm a conservation agent, but I know there's different levels of things the conservation looks at. So an RDA is a request for applicability for a project that's outside the wetland area, but within the 100-foot wetland buffer. Presently, there's a small portion of the existing pavements within the 100-foot wetland buffer. You see that highlighted in that sort of orange color towards the back. And the proposed exterior fence for the area has been reduced from what was originally planned, pulling the fence back 100 feet with the proposed fence located 220 feet from the rear property line. You may remember the early plan had quite a bit of an area going into the back, so that's been pulled back closer to the building by 100 feet. The proposed dog fence is approximately 55 feet from the northeast corner of the building and 80 feet from the southeast corner. And the area fenced in will be constructed of fence panels. And we made a picture for you of those things as well. Of fence panels. These are 10-foot high, 6-foot high, 10-foot wide sections with little feet on them, like you see at construction operations and things like that. So there's not actually a fence post that goes into the ground. So those will be connected to form the fence line. They will have the fence extenders that they had really proposed at sort of a flat angle, and that dog blocker fabric covering along the fence, both on the fence and on the extensions. So, and the panels will have they have feet, and with weighted sandbags is the standard procedure for securing them without punching them into the ground. I included just a little Q&A from the Conservation Association about the levels of conservation review, just for people's information if they wanted to know more about the things the Conservation Commission might request to be done on the site. Per the previous request, as I said, the gates have been relocated. There are 4 rolling gates on each side, so there's not just one gate between those two things. So I'm guessing I read that before. So, and then on the last page, there are just the depictions of the gate, the fence blocker, and the post extensions. So these folks have been at it since the 22nd. At this point, we've gotten most of the information we're looking for. So depending upon how the board feels comfortable with the information that's presented and information from the applicant, ball's in your court about what you want to do is to...
I would recommend waiting until we get an updated fire department and Concom recommendations in regards to this. That's just my recommendation. I mean, we could establish various other things, but there's no real sense unless till we hear from Concom.
I don't think we should be approving anything without their approval prior to. So my recommendation would be to accept a motion to continue.
But we got a hearing, so we're gonna
Okay.
ask people to chime in who might be here.
Oh, yes, of course, yes,
That's why the sheet, that's why I'm here to help.
thank you.
Next meeting, you're gonna crush it
I'm
every,
sorry,
every time.
ladies. I see you over there, and I know this has been a very extensive project for you. Was there anything you would like to say in regards to it?
I don't think there's really anything I can say at this point. Sorry. It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. I did meet Brooke, and she pretty much said that, you know, that she didn't think there would be any sort of problem because there's nothing going in the ground.
Well, we could consider approving it without the rear fence. Maybe that's something that we could leave to Concom on.
Well, one of those things that the board could consider is saying, yeah, we'll give you an approval contingent upon the fire department saying we're fine with the evacuation plan and with that final rear fence location based on the May 18th RDA vote for the Conservation Commission. If this was a brand new site that everything was raw on, you know, maybe have a bit more cautious approach to that.
Right.
But
yeah, the building's already there.
The
correct.
question that the thing that I have with it is, we're talking special permit, so we're just talking about the use of it. We're not talking about the site plan review or anything else like that. So, I mean, when we're looking at it, they've done their homework as far as making sure that wetlands are delineated, and we have a general idea of what's going to be happening. I think when it comes to getting into the site plan review is where Concom needs to be getting involved with regards to where placement of the fence and things like that. I think as far as the use goes, everything is there. I think we have enough to move forward with.
Okay, but
Like to make a motion
okay to
to move forward on it and
Conditional.
allow them
conditional
to conditional
upon.
upon.
So let me just say, I will accept the motion to approve the project conditional on Concom approval and fire department
Evacuation emergency plan.
emergency plans and a review of the updated.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're just approving the special permit.
That's correct. Application of special permit. And we'll come back with the final site plan to bring that to the board.
And set conditions?
Yep, and that allows the applicant to basically say with some certainty, okay, I'm gonna get to do this thing. It'll start the appeals period after we file the decision.
Okay,
And, you know, then we hear from the Conservation Commission and we'll button up the final part of the site plan.
okay, so I'll,
So
I can accept the motion, and then we open it for discussion and set any particular conditions.
Yeah, I think that might be the motion that was made to approve the special permit, you know, contingent upon review and approval of the RDA by the Conservation Commission and the Fire Department's evacuation plan, with a final site plan for review by the board.
So will that allow them to at least get going on the interior of it and
Correct.
everything else?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
That's
Yeah.
great.
They just
So-
won't be able to open until all the paperwork's in and done.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's
I think
the,
she wants to say something though, I'm sorry, Janet.
Oh, yes, but
That's fine. Sorry.
it's a public hearing.
Judy Richards, 5 Lillingham Way. I'm in a butter, and I've no problem with the dogs, but there is more to just the conservation land. It's, as we talked before, the noise, the in and out. Are they gonna try to extend it? We need to know if they want the grooming, like what exactly are you asking for? I know now it's just, we have to wait till May 18th, that's fine, because
I
by
don't
then-
think I understand your question. What do you mean, what am I asking for? With the grooming, it's not, we're not intending, any grooming, we have to come back and get approval for that anyway. That's not starting, that has nothing to do with getting us started, because that we would have to invest, we need, we gotta do a tub, we need.
No, right, but it's like if you're gonna remodel in there, like why take 10 steps back when you're gonna go in and change things and do things?
What
I
do you
mean,
mean? No, I don't understand, we're not remodeling anything, and the grooming is kind of, we push that way down to the bottom of the list of in the future, because first of all, finances, and the second of all,
all
we
right,
don't
the
have-
next question is, how many dogs are we gonna allow on the premises at one time? Like the max?
So I had requested 75, which works, which makes me really break even. That's not, I'm not,
I know, I'm not here about the money, I'm here about the sanity. And
right,
that's all.
right, and I don't know, if you've never been inside of a dog daycare, and you wouldn't, I can't, until you see it, it's hard to explain. I
I
have
have
sent
been
videos.
in, that's why I'm asking these questions. And I know everyone is different. I'm just saving aggravation down the
So
road.
we're all certified, I can produce our certificates if you want.
I understand all
No,
that.
in a very specific program called Quiet Dog Daycare, which we were all taught in our previous employment how to keep rooms quiet. Again, if dogs are busy, they're not barking. If dogs are barking, that means either the human is not controlling the room or controlling the dogs.
Correct. I get all that, but it's like we're moving past some objects here, like, I know you wanna get forward with your business, but are we gonna have to, like, worry about a noise, barking, lots of, I know that I have neighbors that have dogs.
Right,
I have a
but
dog.
we're putting noise barriers up on all the fencing, on all the exterior fencing. I don't know what else to do.
These are some of the issues that the chair will address.
Okay, that's fine, that's
mean,
all I
the-
wanted to know, I didn't wanna get it.
Right, we want to hear
to go
your
forward.
concerns, and you should, and I'm new at this, so,
Nope, I
but
get it.
address them to me,
Patience.
regardless of what it is. Ask your question. So, some of the questions that we will have to discuss and decide upon is the number of dogs allowed, how many handlers per dog, how many allowed overnight, the business hours, and I know in the past we've required noise restraints on the animals, so that's something that we'll have to look into also, because we fully understand that they border right up against a residential neighborhood in the back. We will take your recommendations, though. If you have recommendations, we would love to hear them, because we can.
So if I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
So we talked about, or I talked about earlier, a condition of that permit of staffing is 1 staff per 12 dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to have 75 dogs, you've got to have 7 staff. So I think if that condition is, the staffing levels are, 1 staff per 12 dogs, you can't get to the number of people, the number of dogs in your business, or contingent on your staffing.
Now, would that limit it to 12 dogs in a specific outside area at a time, or?
No, I think what they had said, and correct me if I'm misstating any of this stuff, that the maximum number of dogs that'll be outside would be 15 in a pod.
And if that were
Not all at once.
Yeah, so 15 go out, as 15 are coming in.
Yes.
Yeah.
so 15 dogs would require 2 handlers to be.
So,
Right.
right,
In
so we would
accompaniment.
end up,
Okay.
if we're keeping our groups down to that 12 and it's one person per 12 dogs, then it would be, that's how our groups would work. Again, each each area inside the building will max out at that number. So we're not, if we take 12 dogs and put them in a room this size, which is kind of sort of close to the pen areas, maybe a little smaller than this, that's more than enough room for them to play, for them to have some fun, for them to nap, for them to take a break. But again, it's enough space that you tend to run into more problems when you're trying to really pack them into spaces. Because all it takes is one dog stepping on another dog, and then all of a sudden that dog's yelling, and then next thing you know, everybody's yelling. Again, the outside areas are also, the way that they're broken up is there's enough space that there should never be a reason for anybody to be crowded on each other. And crowding is honestly one of the biggest problems that most dog daycares have now. And so when you're at a dog daycare and you're hearing all this barking, they're not doing their, and it's so hard for me to verbalize it because I've lived it. So, and because I lived it in the daycare that I ran for 7 years. I mean, I could bring in clients who could tell you, who are following me, who could tell you they sat in the office in our old facility 20 feet away from 80 dogs and never heard a noise. And that's like the only way I can, I guess, give like some sort of an outside perspective on it. I'm sorry. I don't know how to prove it.
That's okay. There will be inspections, required inspections in regards to this.
Of course.
I think you will be restricted from any sort of grooming till you come back.
Oh, absolutely.
In regards to that, because there's health aspects that we'll have to deal with that couldn't possibly be addressed. So.
Oh yeah, no, and it has to do with plumbing, and it's not going to be an easy. It's not going to be a quick. And that was kind of sort of why we. As soon as the engineer said, or the Board of Health, I forget whoever brought it up first, but about the gray water tank, as soon as they said that, that's at the bottom of my list of things. And I'm not anticipating doing, just as a future note, I guess, grooming salon. Like, it's not going to be like an outside grooming thing, more or less for the dogs that are in-house. Nothing. Okay. We just want to do our job and be happy.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like
Yes,
to
sir.
ask a question. So I want to understand this. So there's going to be 5 rooms within the building that are going to separate 12 dogs at a time, and then 12 will be outside. So that would give you your 6.
Yes.
6.
Yes.
So one room would be considered the room outside, and then there would be 5 separate rooms.
So
and separating the dogs.
The way that I have it broken up on here. So again, because we're going to have to run it that way with 12 rather than the 15, which is fine. But Bob is actually retiring. So when he leaves, we will have an indoor, we'll have extra indoor space. But our training and boarding rooms if we had to have all the dogs, for whatever reason, it's pouring outside, everybody has to come in the building. The training and the boarding rooms, we can house dogs in those 2 particular rooms. They're just rooms right now. So they're just already have full-on walls, whereas the main part of it, those are not, that's just an open space right now.
So what I'm asking is, you're gonna have 5 specified rooms
Mm-hmm.
inside the building.
Yep.
That will house 60 dogs, and then 12 will be outside.
Yes.
Okay, and you'll also have an entrance room for bringing the dogs in, or so I wanted to get an idea of what the interior is going to be designed like.
Do you have the picture, or are you
I have
the interior picture?
I don't have the interior picture for some reason. Oh, I do have the interior picture.
I'm sorry.
That's the site location.
Um,
I don't have that.
I can.
I'm sorry.
opposed to the 5 special permits. And then the outside would be considered the other. All right.
So, but you don't currently have control over the whole building, and back where it says storage, is that planned to be part of?
Not, I mean, yes and no, I guess. We honestly hadn't really, if it is, it would just be, again, just kind of to open up a bigger space, not necessarily, we're not coming back to you asking for more dogs. That's not, that is never the goal. We've kind of sort of figured out our break even with a little bit of profit, and that's it. We don't want to be overwhelmed any more than anybody else wants to be overwhelmed. We've been in a building where there's 100, 120, 130 dogs. None of us want that. None of us want that. It's not fair to the dogs, it's not fair to the staff, and it's not fair to the owners.
So, on the off chance it's raining or something's going on, and you
Mhm.
get the 5 rooms with 12 dogs in them,
Mhm.
and the other 12 dogs have to come in for whatever
Yep.
reason.
Yep.
Where would they be contained in?
In what is labeled as the training boarding rooms.
Okay.
Or boarding room, because there is enough space for that.
All right.
But to be perfectly honest, the dogs, unless it's like really, really, really bad weather, they necessarily don't,
So,
they don't care.
what about like the winter time when we have a snowstorm, there's like 2 feet of snow up there?
Oh, other than, well, we would probably shut down the woods area because you can't, we're not gonna be able to
But
put the snow
that's what
blower.
I'm getting at, so you'd be able to house all those dogs in there
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah,
without a problem.
oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
You-
And we'll make sure, it gets, either plowed or snow blowed or whatever.
You'll have to excuse me, and if both of you could just pull the mic a little closer, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any more questions? The public hearing's still open. If there's anybody else that would like to speak. All right. So, I can take
You can,
the motion.
we can close the public hearing,
We can close the public hearing. Okay.
right?
Correct.
Correct.
Close the public hearing.
And that still allows staff, fire department, anybody else to talk about it, just we're not taking comments from the general public with the closing of the hearing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
So staff, fire department, conservation, me, everybody gets to talk to you, but we just don't talk to the public after you close the public hearing.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So I will accept the motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Nope, somebody's gonna make it.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second. All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Now, we can make a motion to accept the special permit
Correct, with those conditions.
and we'll have to clearly identify.
Yeah, and let's walk through them.
Yes, please. But first, let's open the motion. So I will accept a motion to approve the special permit with consideration of the passage agreement of Concom and the fire department in regards to the doggy daycare.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I
Nope.
second.
All right, now we can open it for discussion.
So Tom, just for a point of clarification, once we get done with the special permit, we still gotta do site plan and, the final build.
Yeah, we'll button up the site plan after we hear back from conservation.
Right, okay. So right now, we're just doing the use permit.
Correct.
All right.
And so those things that we have talked about
Yep.
is to provide dog daycare, boarding, and training. And this term exit baths is in there. So an exit bath is not grooming a dog, but it's rinsing one off if it gets something on it. So I just want to make sure that we're making a distinction. And that special permit should likely state emphatically, no grooming is permitted.
I think that would be a condition, because we don't have the approval of the health department in
Correct.
regards to that.
Until approval by Board of Health for facilities. So staffing level of 1 staff per 12 dogs. Hours of operation, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. And this phrase that they had in their business plan, depending on clients' needs. And I'm assuming that as well, if somebody is flying in late or something like that, and I can't get my dog, it seems like a perfectly reasonable accommodation.
Right, as long as it's not a general practice, yeah.
So one-way traffic in and out of the front of the building in order to facilitate, drop-off and pickup. A maximum of 15 dogs, or maximum of 30 dogs outside at any one time with an overlap of 15 coming in and out. And limiting that outdoor activity to 7 a.m. To 7 p.m., which is essentially would just eliminate the time of 6 a.m. of having the dogs out there. And on Saturdays and Sundays, they don't open till 8 anyhow. So
I think we can put outside activity from 9 to 5 for maybe some of the neighbors that tend to sleep late on Saturday and Sunday. I would also like to see an annual health inspection by the health department and an annual physical inspection by the animal control officer for the town of Carver.
All right. So we talked about the disaster recovery plan. We talked about the Conservation Commission, and I think those are were the principal matters that I had on my chart. You got anything else?
I just want to make sure we addressed all the concerns by the public. If I may, I don't know if this is appropriate, so I'm going to ask on. Have we addressed your concerns, ma'am?
My last one is no overnight, because that wasn't specified. Saying that I
Was-
won't be able to speak in the future right now?
I think it was in the application overnights were, but
Yeah, boarding is
Yeah.
a dog is overnight.
right, and we were going to limit that to 24 dogs, if I remember correctly.
From the business plan, give me just a second.
And we'd already determined they won't be out back or anything like that they'll be enclosed in the building.
Right, yeah,
They're
because
not running around inside the building either.
right from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yep.
They're prohibited, and
Mm-hmm.
The boarding area will be towards the back, and the kennel will have, and there we'll have kennels for the dogs to sleep in. We will not house more than one dog in a kennel, as our experience has shown, that even though it's extremely rare, there's potential for fights and serious injuries to occur. So,
I believe I had asked for 30, but 24 is fine.
yeah, there isn't anything in the
We would never
Just-
board what we had in the building for during the day. That would never, that is, again, you're looking at this, it's too much.
but just the tenure of how long a dog can be boarded. They can certainly be boarded overnight.
yes,
That's what the essence of boarding a dog is.
right. But again, by limiting it to one person to 12, then you'd want to make sure that
If I have 24 dogs in the building, I would have to have 2 people in the building anyway. It wouldn't, that would be in my old facility. Anything over, again, we went by 1 to 15 at that point, but anything over 15 dogs required 2 people to be there. But health and safety is really, truly is the priority.
So what's the board's pleasure on a cap on the number of dogs to be ordered?
I would have to ask the board what their opinion in this regards was.
Yeah, I think the 24 is reasonable. I mean, that's, if we're talking a minimum of one person per 12 dogs, 24 dogs, that's 2 people. If we go higher, she'd have to look at having 3 people on hand.
Yeah. So
unless
24
we-
is a max.
Yeah.
So-
Mhm.
Is that okay
I'm
with
okay
you?
with that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems reasonable.
I don't want anything higher than, so thank you.
Sure.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, so no further discussion. I will take a roll call vote. Mr. Gatsky?
Did we already move?
We moved, we seconded, and then we just established the conditions.
Oh, okay, yeah. John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And what I'll do is I'll draft this up and you and I will look at it to make sure all the stuff is supposed to be on it, before it goes any further. All right?
Right. And, again, I don't think you'll get an occupancy permit till everything's squared away.
Which is fine.
Okay,
With
I
that- yeah.
just want, I know, 'cause
That,
it's been a long process for you guys, I just want,
it has. I appreciate your patience.
Oh, no.
I apologize for my little
no,
emotional.
thank you for yours.
I've been stressing about this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is sign permits.
If I may.
Yes, please, Mr. Bott.
So, town meeting voted. A bunch to, not many, I had them written down on a sheet here. I
Yeah.
said, having the selectmen in our room before we got here is kind of threw me off a little bit.
Greater than 2/3, I believe.
So town meeting voted to give the requirements of the sign permits to the building commissioner. And so town meeting's vote changes the zoning at the time of the vote. So with that, signs now go to the building commissioners. The only reason they're on the agenda is because they're on the agenda before. And so what I've recommended to the board is the board make a motion to take both of these sign permits, close the hearing and refer them to the building commissioner for his approval.
All right.
Now, question on that is, we don't have to wait until the warrant is certified?
No.
It-
So the way that it works is the vote is effective as of town meeting's vote.
Okay.
And then the Attorney General reviews things, and if something is untoward, the Attorney General might kick it out and say, no, you did a bad thing there.
Okay.
The applicant is allowed to move forward at their peril during that period.
Okay.
Typically, the Attorney General puts something out, kicks something out because it's blatantly unconstitutional, which is rare, or more typically, it's because we didn't follow a procedure. And I can tell you, the staff nailed every procedure. We advertised everything. We said everything was supposed to be.
Right.
They did a great job of making sure we hit all our stops on that. So the votes of town meeting are the votes of town meeting. That is the zoning going forward. And at some point, the AG will confirm all those things, and everybody will have a greater comfort level with the zoning is.
We still have a public hearing open, correct?
Yes, I think we do.
So before we close, is there anybody here who would care to speak on the McDonald's 94 North Main Street sign application? Seeing no one, I will accept the motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Gatsky?
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
that. Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
All right, now the board, the chair will accept a motion to refer said McDonald's 94 North Main Street sign permit application to the building inspector.
Commissioner
I'll make that
official.
said motion.
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Gatsky?
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sodillo, aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
All right, Quest Diagnostics currently has a sign permit also. We are in a public hearing. Is there anybody who would care to speak on that? Seeing no one, I will accept a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Gatsky?
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sodillo, aye.
Richard Dion, aye.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I should just throw it out there. I just had a question, because I am here for Quest. Is basically, the meeting basically saying refer back to the building inspector for approval?
Yep, building commissioner does signs.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks for coming.
All right, next we have a public hearing.
Yeah, we have to, don't we have to refer that as well to the building inspector?
Oh, yes, I just closed the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. So the chair will accept the motion
So I'll
to,
make that said motion.
I'll second it.
all right, no discussion. Mr. Gatsky?
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sodillo, aye.
Richard Dion, aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin, for catching that.
All right, next we have public hearing. We will be opening the public hearing on the application of E&S Holdings LLC, requesting a special permit and site plan review pursuant to sections 3100, 5300, 2330, and 2230 of the Carver zoning bylaw, located at lot number 1, Ricketts Pond Business Park off Spring Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 32, lot 1-1 and 1-2. In the Spring Street Innovation Zoning District. The project will consist of the construction of 3 commercial buildings located at Lot 1, Ricketts Pond Business Park located off Spring Street. The lot will be comprised of 3 commercial buildings with associated driveways, parking areas, closed drainage system, septic system, and utility connections. Stormwater from the site development will be directed to infiltration basins designed to accommodate runoff from Ricketts Pond Business Park definitive subdivision. Any persons interested in wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. A copy of the plan is on file at the planning department and may be reviewed during normal business hours. Do we need a motion to open the public hearing?
No.
Okay, so the public hearing is open.
Hello, and if I may just reinforce this over and over again, please speak into the mic, so the folks at home, particularly the person who's doing the minutes, can hear, because minute takers are really hard to find, we don't want to upset them, okay? Make sure they can hear you, thank you, we appreciate that.
Alright, so my name's Eric Shoemaker, I'm an engineer with McKenzie Engineering Group. I'm here with Dawn, our client. She's representing American Electrical Construction Incorporated. I can move the plans if you guys want, but...
I think we all received copies, I believe.
Alright, so I'll start with just some background of the site. I'm going to be presenting lots 1 and lots 2 tonight, so I'll just save some time and run through the background. So the site is located at lot 1 of the Ricketts Pond Definitive Park Subdivision in Carver. As you said, that's map 32, lots 1-1 and 1-2. That's comprised of about 4 acres. The site's located in the Spring Street Innovation Zoning District, and it's bordered by Ricketts Pond to the east, State Route 44 to the northwest, and some undeveloped woodlands to the north. Spring Street directly abuts it to the south. So I met with the planning board on March 22nd, and that was for the A&R plan that redistributed that lot lines. We established lots 1, lot 2, and 2B of that subdivision. So right now the parcel is comprised of an earth removal and mining operation, and it's currently consists of sand and gravel stockpiles with varying elevations and size. So prior to the development of the site, Both lots 1 and 2, the proposed roadway would be constructed, and the lots will be mined down to about 1 foot below the proposed grades on the site plan. So that's just kind of the plan on how we're going to go forward with this. The topography of the site ranges in elevation, but generally it slopes to the east towards Spring Street. Infiltration basin, we call it basin number 2 in our drainage calculations for the definitive subdivision plan, is located within the drainage easement along the southern side of the property. The site's located in a FEMA Zone X, and it's not located in a DEP Zone 2, any critical areas, or the town of Carver Aquifer Protection Zone. Wetlands were not encountered on the lot. And the subdivision roadway, we're calling it Ricketts Pond Drive at the moment, but this is yet to be formally conveyed to the town as the roadway is not fully constructed. So, moving on to our first sheet, the site layout plan. As shown on our special permit, we're filing for zoning sections 2230B, a warehouse in less than 20,000 square foot building, and section 2330, multiple principal buildings on one lot. So this first sheet, the site layout plan, just shows the proposed buildings, setback, and surface treatments of the site. The proposed development's going to consist of 3 commercial buildings varying in size, with bituminous concrete parking areas and 24-foot minimum access drives around the site for circulation. Some site infrastructure such as utilities, septic system, there'll be a closed drainage system. So the proposed bituminous concrete parking area is going to consist of 45 parking spaces with 4 handicap accessible spots. This is in excess of the required 41 parking spaces needed for the site. Those 24-foot wide minimum access areas around the site will be bordered by a foot of Cape Cod berm around the development. Some loading bays are provided to the rear of each building. Don can speak more to the site and what each building will be used for. And we provided a 5-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk at the front of each building for access. The land usage tables on the left side of the plan detail the dimensional requirements in that Spring Street Innovation Zoning District. So we have what's required versus what we're proposing. And just some landscape buffers. We tried to provide a buffer between the lot next door and lot 2, as well as to the rear, abutting that Route 44 on-ramp. So moving on to the grading and drainage, or drainage and utility plan. It's called Sheet C3. So our goal when designing the stormwater system was to comply with all the typical state stormwater management regulations and attenuate the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm events. So a closed drainage system consisting of a series of catch basins and drain manholes, direct stormwater runoff from lot 1 to the infiltration basin, basin number 2, which will accept runoff from generally the western portion of the entire subdivision project. So what we did with our drainage is we took the original report filed in 2019 for the subdivision, and we've been revising the impervious areas and just making sure everything works as far as the basin is concerned, as well as those local and state stormwater regulations I mentioned. So a portion of the front yards of lots 1 and 2 are going to continue to sheet flow to Ricketts Pond Drive, where they're going to be captured by the drainage system in the street and piped to infiltration basin number 1, which is on the other side of the street. And that's something we also showed on that original subdivision drainage design that was approved by the board. So the main thing to note with the drainage is that the impervious areas decrease, and with that, the 100-year flood elevations in that basin decreases by about a half a foot. So that was kind of our goal there in providing more landscape area. We decreased the flooding throughout the site, and that's consistent with both lots 1 and lot 2, which I'll be presenting after this. Just to touch on the utilities, the utility design includes underground electric, telephone, and cable connections on Ricketts Pond Drive. Each building will be serviced by propane tanks and will have underground gas service piped. There'll be a potable well located to the rear of the lot to service the water demand, and there'll be a cistern fire protection tank. So all 3 buildings will also be serviced by a septic system located between the front 2 buildings. I've witnessed test pits out here on a couple occasions, and there'll be no issues with any sort of infiltration. We found nothing but sand out here, and that's why they're mining down the property. So that's just a quick rundown of the site plan, and we're here to answer any questions the board may have.
You did mention what, 5 foot wide cement sidewalk?
Yes, 5 foot wide cement
Because
concrete.
Your plan says it's 4 foot wide.
4 foot wide. Okay.
I'm not
4 foot wide. I'm
entirely certain. I'll have to double check, but I think we require landscaping along the buildings. But have we had our engineering firm, Andy, maybe look this over yet?
Just about to talk about that when you say, what's up with that, Mr. Chair? So we have referred plans to our consulting engineer. It's the age of COVID, as you know, in spite of the fact you heard it's over, it's not. So Andy's back after, I guess I shouldn't say things like that because I don't have his permission to say things like that. But anyhow, Andy's back after a bit of a bout. And we have a development review meeting set up for most of the projects on tonight's agenda for Thursday. So Andy's looking at it right now. We're sitting down with the technical review committee on Thursday. And all the plans that are submitted tonight, this is sort of introductory night. Here's what we want to do. We want to hear what the board's comments and concerns are at the initial. And we'll take this to the technical review committee, put some comments together from the engineering, consulting engineer that we'll send to the applicant, and then incorporate the board's concerns as well into those things, and we'll continue it to another night. Likely, and I'm projecting a few things here, likely May 24th, because there's a number of things that we've got in front of us, and there's just a number of projects we've got to get to. And the constraints of staffing to get to all of them. It's kind of tough to try to turn something around like this in a week or 2 weeks and really get some good comments back from folks. We don't want to waste the applicant's time or the board's time. So this is date night for all the plans we got in front of us. They're all going to technical review, and we're all going to continue likely till May 24th at the earliest to come back with revisions to the plans that incorporate whatever the board's comments are. So whatever you got on your mind, let us know. We'll put it in the mix and chat it up on Thursday.
Well, this is going to be an elevated property and probably above the tree line or close enough to it that I have concerns with the lack of landscaping and windbreaks and shading for the property as being a concern.
We need to take a site walk.
I think we will for sure need to take a sidewalk.
I can speak to that a little bit.
Sure.
So there's a significant slope graded down from that northern buffer. If you've ever seen the site, it's pretty elevated on every side. The mining operation is actually digging the whole thing downwards compared to the topography that abuts it. As far as the landscaping is concerned, I filed the original application and approval for the Form A lot, which is located on Spring Street at the corner there. So that was approved, and our justification with the landscaping, I copied the same sort of thing we did. You'll see on, I think it's the legend sheet. We basically just explain that, you know, the extensive rear buffer as well as the side buffer we provided and a couple landscape pockets throughout the parking lot. We use that as justification for the landscape we provided, and I think there's a request for relief on that sheet.
Right, but part of the concerns is that the landscape is supposed to provide both windbreaks and heat catches and shade to the property, and that's part of the consideration. Now, you were saying this is going to be brought down to the level of the street?
The proposed grades on the site plan, I think the plan is to dig down to 1 foot below the proposed grades.
And in relation to Spring Street, what is that?
Let's see here. So Spring Street's at about 145. The center part of this lot's about 142. So there's a 3 foot drop at that beginning entrance.
Okay, so it's going to be roughly at street level. Correct?
A few feet below, but in the same general area.
So, right.
Are we discussing both lots?
We're only discussing one lot, and our concerns, we should, well...
And it's a public hearing, so we're
Yep.
gonna ask for the public's comments
Absolutely.
before we move on to the second one as well.
And
So what's the elevation at right now?
It's tough to gauge that now. It's an active site. At the time of the survey, it was about, you know, we'll say 160 to 180 in the area of this lot.
Okay, and you guys have,
It's, according to Don, it's down to 150, but it's an active, you know, mining operation, and these may be elevations of the stockpiles shown on the plan, so it's, take it with a grain of salt.
and I expect there will be some landscaping between the buildings and Spring Street?
Correct. The infiltration basin there will have some landscaping, and I think the plan is to provide a landscaping plan once we get a peer review letter if requested.
so do we have copies of the approval for how much, as far as how far down they're taking this stuff?
I don't know.
From earth removal or anything?
I don't know, we can look for, we can find out on something. Typically, what you see in, with the subdivision plan is the subdivision plan has a grading plan that says we're gonna take this down to this level for the roads in those areas. I'm not really familiar with the earth removal process here in Carver, we're looking into. But the second part of that is typically you have earth removal in conjunction with preparing a site. So when someone comes up with a site plan that says, well, here's the site that we're gonna prepare to this level, then that sort of earthwork gets done to prepare the site to those levels that are on the plan to be approved. So I have not really done any research in what's up with the earth removal to find out what those are, but I'll be schooled by the folks who have been at this for longer than I have.
Any further questions from the board, concerns, thoughts? We'll wait for the peer review then.
Yep.
If it's appropriate,
For right now.
I would accept a motion. Oh yes, sorry, terribly sorry. Is there anybody here in the public that would care to speak?
Alrighty, I will say this, if I may.
Yes.
We did late this afternoon get an email in from the
Yes.
Save the Pine Barrens. So that email was forwarded to you folks. I noted in my reply to them that it was unlikely that the planning board was going to approve or close any hearings tonight. And they would have ample opportunity to come in and make their comments during the public hearing. One of those comments I said they might make known to the board in their paragraph 6 or page 6. We urge you to postpone the hearings on these sites and conduct a thorough investigation of how the earth removal and strip mining is impacting the sole source aquifer. People of Carver and the region rely on these groundwaters to be shared by the 7 towns. The companies before you should be accountable for current conditions. So that's what we do. People don't come in and just do whatever they want to do. They're constrained by plans. So that's the whole process of the technical review committee. Our consulting engineer is taking these plans and looking at them and making sure they comply with the regulations. And then before they get to open up, make sure they comply with the conditions of the site plan before they get their CO. So we're not closing any hearings tonight, right?
No.
Okay.
I was accepting a motion to continue the hearing till May 24th.
Because nobody's in the room for that.
Sorry?
Because nobody wants to step up and talk.
Yes, I please.
We're working together on this thing.
Yeah, no, I know.
We're gonna be so much better next time. We're gonna be sharp.
I don't put any money on that.
Do we have any questions for the young lady sitting down? She was gonna speak, I thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. She is just here to answer any questions
Okay.
about the operation of the site.
All right, I was just double checking.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, so we got a motion to continue till May
I
24th.
got one question, that's all, if you don't mind.
Please.
I'm just looking at this, because you're telling me it's a 5-foot wide sidewalk. To you guys, it might not be anything, but on the plans, it's telling me it's a 4. And then when you get back to D1, where your sidewalk is, it's telling me it's a 5. Can we
Okay.
correct this?
I can clarify that. I prepared a presentation for both lots and
If I
might have
okay
five.
something, I wanna see what is actually there and not what I'm being told.
Yeah, got it.
So I'm being told that it's 5, but I'm seeing 4,
Mhm.
if you don't mind.
According to the site plan, it's 4, so I would go with 4 for now until it's changed.
Right, and then if we go to D1, they're showing the sidewalk, and it's saying 5 foot minimum.
Correct.
So we'll button that up.
I'm also with that.
So I will, if there's no other questions or comments, I will accept a motion to continue the public hearing to May 24th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Gatsky?
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sodillo, aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Now, I think the board would like to do a site walk, and I would like to arrange that. I think we can do both of these at the same
They're
time.
pretty close to each other, and there's not a lot of
Right.
cars parked out there, so I think we can probably nail them both in a day. Now, for general knowledge is that a site visit isn't a meeting, it's not to be posted, so we can go whenever we want, but I think typically we've done these. Rich, what's your magic date for these sort of things typically? Have we done these on Fridays or at noon? I mean, I forget.
No, any day except for Wednesday, and I prefer lunchtime if possible, like noontime.
Okay.
But I can move something around if I have to.
So not Wednesdays at noon?
Yeah, Wednesday is totally off.
All right. So, are there days that work better for other members of the board?
Best for me is generally either Friday afternoons or Monday mornings, because it's
You travel.
my schedule forms
Yep.
in the early part of the week.
Okay.
So, usually Monday mornings is my freest
Yep.
point.
What's the best time for you, Caleb?
And
I
am
can-
on
I
call.
can get away from work, so noontime
I
works for
am
me as
on
well.
call
I'm fine.
for
So noon.
next week.
Noontime on Friday? Would that be?
So the 6th, well, this week is gonna be, is gonna be kind of up in the air, cause I'm on call.
But maybe not this week, we can
But
arrange it
definitely,
for.
yeah, definitely, any other week.
Alright, so Friday the 29th, not the day we're doing this. And how do you feel about Monday, Friday, May 13th? No one's superstitious, I'm sure.
That's fine.
It's fine with me.
That'll work.
Alright, so we wanna try to line up site
Okay.
visit for both of them?
Yep.
For Friday, May 13th.
May 13th.
Right, so we'll talk with you guys about, sort of getting some stakes out there and some things to get the board an idea where things are gonna happen at.
Yes, we can stake the building, whatever you guys.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. And also, check your schedule about meeting with us on Thursday morning as well. It's, one of those things we've talked about internally. This is my first, technical review committee meeting. So I've been asking the folks who do these things, how do you typically do these things? Do you like the applicant there? Do you not like the applicant there? Right now,
Yeah.
we're on the bubble, so if we want you guys to be there, can you sort of make, room in your schedule for,
This Thursday?
yep, April 28th,
Okay.
9 AM. And we'll confirm that,
Okay.
but just pencil in if you would.
Yeah, we just may need more time to get the survey crew out there.
Yeah, that's why we're not gonna go out there Friday and do a site visit,
Yeah.
'cause I'm with you.
What's the actual address?
It doesn't have an actual address. The assessors, map and lot numbers weren't updated from the A&R we did a couple weeks ago.
I'll get you a map.
Okay.
So, do we know what type of buildings are going in there? Is it, that your,
Yeah. Hi, I'm Dawn Egan. We're just kind of proposing 2 additional buildings. The first building that's abutting the drainage basin there, that's the first building that we were planning to put up. I'm an electrical contractor, and so it would be for a trade, so it'd be offices in the front, 3 bays in the back. The other 2 would be down the road. We were just kind of given an idea that we'd like to further develop the property down the road. This is just a preliminary plan, just so we can make sure everything would fit. I've lived in the town since '94. I was electrical contractor over at the police and fire station both, so do public work, we're very local, and anything you need, let me know.
So that is that first proposed office warehouse building.
That's
So
correct,
nice
yes, the other
indication.
2 are just kind of giving
Okay.
look ahead.
So it's the 7,500 foot building?
It'll be a second floor in the front too, so it'll end up being around 10,000 square feet. I have the building plans, but we're waiting, this is
Okay,
a
yeah, I
little
wasn't
premature,
sure if it was
but
that
yeah,
one or if it was
75 by 100, and a, like warehouse office
Okay.
for American Electrical. I just don't want anybody to get confused. ENS Holdings is another entity that we formed to buy the property under, and my company, American Electrical, would rent from ENS Holdings. Is that clear as mud?
Basically.
Okay.
The next item on our agenda is a public hearing on the application of Peter Sprague requesting a special permit and site plan review pursuant to sections 3100, 5300, 2330, and 2230 of the Carver zoning bylaw located at lot number 2, Ricketts
Thank you,
Pond
Steve.
Business Park off Spring Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 32, lot 1 and 2 in the Spring Street Innovation Zoning District. The project will consist of the construction of 2 commercial buildings located at lot number 2, Ricketts Pond Business Park located off Spring Street. The lot will be comprised of 2 commercial buildings with associated driveways, parking areas, closed drainage systems, septic system, and utility connections. Stormwater from the site development will be directed to infiltration basins designed to accommodate runoff from Ricketts Pond Business Drive Business Park Definitive Subdivision. Any persons interested and wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. A copy of the plan is on file at the planning department and may be reviewed during normal business hours.
And if I can just add one caveat to that. In addition to the plans being available at the planning office, we post all the plans on the planning website. So you can go from the comfort of your home and click on the website and you can see all the plans that are before the planning board. We've been doing that for the last couple meetings and we'll continue to do that, just to make it easier for folks to see what's going on.
Yep. Thank you very much. Moving to a paperless society.
Yeah, these things help.
Right, would you care to speak on this project, please?
Sure.
Please
So-
identify yourself.
Again, my name is Eric Shoemaker. I'm an engineer with McKenzie Engineering Group. I'm here with my client Peter Sprague, discussing Lot 2 of the Spring Street Ricketts Pond definitive subdivision. So I caught everyone up on the background of the subdivision as a whole. This Lot 2 is located directly to the north of the lot we just spoke about. So it was formerly map 32, portion of lot 1-2, and it's comprised of 1.9 acres. Again, the topography in this part of the site generally slopes to the east. That's why we put that drainage easement to the left side of the plan. Just naturally, the water wants to go that way, so this lot will be serviced by that same basin. So starting with the site layout plan, we're filing the same special permits requesting the warehouse and building with less than 20,000 square feet, as well as multiple principal buildings on one lot. This site layout plan just generally shows the placement of the buildings as well as the surface treatments and setbacks. So to the right side of your plan, you'll see the land usage table, comparing the required versus proposed criteria from your zoning bylaw, as well as the parking calculations. So this lot will consist of two 7,440 square foot buildings with bituminous concrete parking area and 24-foot wide access drives. Some site infrastructure such as utilities, closed drainage system, septic system. So the concrete parking area will consist of 20 on-site parking spaces. This is in excess of the 17 required parking spaces according to your bylaw criteria. There'll be 2 handicap spaces, 1 for each building. The project will also have 2 driveways with 24-foot wide access drives, Cape Cod berms on each side of the aisles, and loading bays and loading areas provided to the rear of each lot. This plan has the 5-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk proposed to the front of each building. And landscape buffers were provided to the sides of each lot. We wanted to kind of break up the expanse of pavement as well as next to the building. There's an 8-foot landscape strip on either side of the building. And I think there's about, we'll say, excess of 40 feet landscaping to the rear of the lot. So moving on to the grading and drainage plan. Same sort of idea as lot 1. We took the original 2019 drainage report filed for the subdivision and just checked that the impervious areas decrease, and with that we'll have lower storm as well as precipitation rates in that basin. So the drainage system consists of catch basins and drain manholes, a closed drainage system to collect the stormwater runoff from the site. It's then piped by drainage easement to that infiltration basin number 2. That drainage easement runs through lot 1, which I just spoke about. Portion of the runoff from the front of the lot runs onto Ricketts Pond Drive, and that gets piped to basin number 1, similar to lot number 1. The utilities on sheet C3 go on to show the underground electric, telephone, and cable connections extending from Ricketts Pond Drive. Each building will have a 1,000-gallon propane tank and be serviced by underground gas. There'll be a potable well similar to Lot 1 located at the rear of the site to provide the water service to each building. And we located a septic system subject to the Board of Health approval between buildings number 1 and 2 to service the sewage demand. This proposal, these two buildings will also have industrial wastewater holding tanks. Those will be located in that northern driving aisle, and that's because there'll be loading bays to the rear of each unit with expecting some traffic in and out. So that pretty much sums it up as for a rundown of the site plan. We'll answer any questions.
So what's the elevation on this lot?
The center of the lot is about 178. It's, again, it's that big soil stockpiles when we did the original survey, so it's changing. But
Right, but what's the proposed?
oh, the proposed elevations, about 146, and those are taken pretty much from that definitive subdivision. We just matched really what the road is and graded from there for both lots. So the grade on the road was set for us, and we just designed off it.
The wastewater holding tank, you've got, that's supposed to be subterranean, correct?
Correct. And again, that will be subject to Board of Health approval, so we're just showing it schematically at the moment.
Any questions? Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak? Continue the public hearing?
Sounds great. You've got the hang of this thing.
Yeah, we've already set the site walk up to this, so the chair will accept the motion to continue the public hearing till May 24th.
May 24th.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Not second.
What was that, May 24th?
Yeah, it's the continued hearing.
That,
Oh,
yeah,
the hearing,
that'll
all
be
right.
Tuesday. The site walk will be on Friday, May 13th at
Yep.
noontime.
Yep, okay.
Gonna do both of them at the same time. So we got a motion and a second?
Yes, so, Mr. Gatsky,
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye. Mr. Robinson?
Mr. Robinson says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
What's your
Question,
unanimous?
Eric?
I just have a question. I just want to confirm the dates. So continue to May 24th, and the site walk will be on the 28th at 9 a.m.
No.
Sidewalk May 13th.
May 13th. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're shooting for noon, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Our client too has a financial deadline, so is there any information we can get regarding the timeline of the peer review?
We were gonna, Andy's got the stuff, we're gonna kinda kick things off in earnest on the 28th. and that's why we pushed that a little bit to get those things done.
Okay.
So, I'm always willing to do my best to help folks out, so if one of these things is, got, more emphasis than the other, I tell Andy, start with, this one, and then the next one.
Yeah.
Would that be your preference?
We can discuss it in
Okay.
future.
I
Thank
know
you.
Christine's still here, so I don't want her to think about, you're
I'm not picking sides.
okay, I'm just checking. It's, so, all right, so that's where we're at. Technical review committee cranking out,
Yeah.
product for you guys to look at, and, amend your plans for the next meeting. It's an iterative process.
Yeah.
We'll have a few, conversations about this between meetings with the board.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
I see we have another sign application for, restores it, but it's,
We do.
I think it was mistakenly put in our packet, so.
And I would, give it back to me.
All right.
Which one was that?
This one's,
The restore?
that's the one. You, good evening.
We all pass them.
Yeah, here.
Do you have that?
Yeah, you got all of this. See,
We all got them.
You guys could have been, busy.
Yeah.
We'll find something.
Are we taking a quick bathroom break?
I wouldn't,
Or,
I wouldn't argue with that. 5-minute recess? Is
Sure.
that- Well, the chair
All right,
decides.
5 minutes?
5-minute recess if you need to use the men's room or ladies' room, the facilities. Start the meeting if that's all right. Our next order of business is a preliminary subdivision plan. Slocum Gibbs Cranberry Company, 0 Wareham Street, Assessors map and lots numbers 127-13-0, 128-1-0, 128-2-0, 128-3-0, 128-6-1, and 128-15-0. I see we have, yes, sir, Mr. Bott.
Yeah, I just wanted to just make a general statement about just the number of preliminary plans that we've got. So, Massachusetts general law requires a preliminary plan if you're doing an industrial subdivision. It's an option if you're doing a residential subdivision. And typically people file preliminary plans rather than go through the work of preliminary and a definitive. Either one of the law is the same. We have 135 days to render a decision on a plan. In this case, 45 days for a preliminary plan and then 90 days for the definitive plan that we assume will follow that. Now those deadlines are able to be extended by mutual agreement of the applicant and the board. So in the case of a definitive plan, there's a hearing and it carries with it a force of regulation. In the case of a preliminary plan, it's more of more formal conceptual plan. Here's what we're looking at doing, here's what we want to do, and having the board provide those comments to folks and have them reiterate their plan. So with that said, we've got, I think, 5 of these. They're coming in, a similar process that we did before. They're all going to go to the technical review committee meeting. We're setting up accounts for reviewing all of these things. So in the case of a definitive plan, the board at the end of the day is going to render a decision that says you shall do this. In the case of a preliminary plan, it's like, yeah, this is what we sort of agreed you should do. Just to set the groundwork in as, non-nerdy a way as possible. So with that.
Now, if we approve the preliminary plan, there's a 7-month period to introduce definitive plans?
So the law states that the definitive plan has to follow 7 months from the submission of the preliminary plan. So if we approve the preliminary plans, then they have 7 months from that date of that first submission to come back and submit a definitive plan. If they don't get a definitive plan in that 7 months, it's like the preliminary plan never happened, it just washes away, resets the clock. So at this point, we've got these plans in, we've got 45 days extendable by mutual agreement, and to get to a point of sort of getting to a common sort of understanding of how those plans might look. But I just want to make that distinction between a preliminary plan and a definitive plan, is that nobody's building anything with a preliminary plan.
Right.
All right?
All right, gentlemen, if you'd like to tell us what's going on here?
All right, good evening. My name is Dan Gagney. I'm a professional engineer with Beals & Thomas. We're here representing Slocum Gibbs at Cranberry Company.
Dan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you gotta pull it a little bit closer.
Sorry. Excuse me. And I'm joined here with by Ken Conti, professional land surveyor with Beals & Thomas. So we're here this evening to discuss these preliminary subdivision plans. This first one that you're looking at is Gibb Street preliminary subdivision. It's located off Wareham Street. It's kind of between Wareham Street and Tremont Street. As you go through the plan, you'll see that there are 3 lots proposed and a 400-foot dead-end street. There's a Lot A, which is about 3.6 acres. Lot B, which is about 252.6 acres. Lot C, which is 194.4 acres. We've requested waivers for the requirement of the ANRAD with the submission. I spoke to Ken today, and our surveyor is actually on site locating the wetland flags today. So we'll be filing that ANRAD in the very near future with the Conservation Commission. And we have received the initial peer review letter from Fuss & O'Neill. Don't see anything in that letter that is not something we can't work with to resolve as we move forward.
Well, you're ahead of us. We haven't received that yet. Now, it appears that there's already buildings on this property.
Yes, there are existing buildings on this property, correct.
Are they going to remain, or are they? What's your plans? Are you putting in a residential subdivision, or what? A brief narrative would be helpful.
This is a RA zoned. This is a residential subdivision. The intentions for those buildings would be the ones that located within the roadway would likely be raised. The ones on the lots, we would have to figure out what we're doing with that. I don't have an exact answer on if those will stay or not at this point with this preliminary plan.
Now, you're familiar with the fact that the ANRAD should have been given with the application.
And we are requesting a waiver from that submission requirement. An ANRAD is a way of setting the wetland lines and confirming them with the Conservation Commission. With the use of a preliminary plan and the acreage that is available on this site, we meet the upland requirements for the zone.
Right, but it doesn't, without the delineation of the wetlands, it's difficult for us to make an educated decision on this. How much time would you think you'd need to get the ANRAD?
We anticipate filing the ANRAD within the coming weeks with the Conservation Commission, and we'll work with them to close those hearings. Likely, probably a month or so till we have that closed out with the Conservation Commission.
So if I may just ask a question,
Please.
so do you have a date with the Conservation Commission?
We have not submitted the plan with the Conservation Commission yet, so no.
Okay.
But you submitted this on the 8th?
Yes.
And you were familiar with the requirements necessary to be considered a preliminary subdivision?
which is why we are requesting a waiver from that requirement, yes.
I don't think you have to make a determination tonight, but I think raising the point.
I think we should continue.
So if you requested a waiver, and at some point you're gonna have to say yea, nay.
Right, so, I would be, is there any, does the board have any other questions? The chair would be open to continuing this to May 24th.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mr. Gatsky?
Aye.
Cornelia O'Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sodillo, aye.
This will give you,
Richard Dion says aye.
this will give you time to get your ducks in order, and to come back with that. Next order of business, preliminary subdivision plan, rewild renewables, float lane 0, rear Plymouth Street, Assessors map 45, lot 1. Gentlemen, if you could give us a brief narrative on the project.
And again, for the record, I'm Dan Gagney, professional engineer with Beals and Thomas, here representing Rewild Renewables. Now, this project is before you is a preliminary subdivision plan. It's a property located off Plymouth Street, as noted. It's for 3 residential lots and a 550-foot dead-end street. Lot A consists of about 3.8 acres. Lot B consists of 40 acres. Lot C consists of 1.9 acres. Similar to the other previous project, we have requested a waiver from the ANRAD requirement for the preliminary subdivision plan. And that process is still ongoing. We have not submitted a plan to the Conservation Commission as of yet. This was filed very recently, so we have not received a peer review comment yet from Fuss and O'Neill.
Alright. Because we can't even, just can't even tell, I mean, this has a lot of wetlands in regards to it too. Any questions from the board in regards to this? Have you filed, oh, sorry, Mr. Gatsky?
Yeah, the frontage,
The frontage appears to be
looks like lot
220
C,
feet plus.
what's that?
I'll let them confirm that.
We do see the frontage requirements with the new roadway. Looks like we have 375 feet for lot C. And doing math quick in my head. 295 feet for lot B, and again 375.4
So we're
feet.
including, are we including this cul-de-sac that?
I think you're talking about frontage on the roadway, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Which is roughly, it appears to be about 220 feet. Right?
221B is 221-2.
Okay, but for lot C, it's,
Well, then you get the side frontages on proposed,
right, we're
Subdivision.
including the proposed roadway?
Yeah, if I may.
Yep.
The purpose of the subdivision is to create frontage. So we put the road in, and then that road becomes the frontage for the lots. So in the case I'm seeing here, we've got
Yeah.
frontage on that new roadway of 350.4 feet, 350.4, and
Yep,
whatever the
no problem.
lap around the cul-de-sac is.
Have you applied for ANRAD through Concom yet?
We have not filed an ANRAD at this time.
Any further questions from the board? Then I will accept a motion to continue this till May 24th and give these gentlemen an opportunity to complete their application.
I'll make said motion.
Second?
Mr. Gatsky?
Aye.
Aye. Cornelius Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Gentlemen? All right. The next item on our agenda is a preliminary subdivision plan, Borrego Solar Systems, Inc., Cedar Meadow Drive, 0 Rear Ward Street, 19C Ward Street, 0 Rear Ward Street, Assessors Map 120, lots 5, 6-1, and 7.
All right. Good evening again. My name is Dan Gagney, a professional engineer with Beals and Thomas. Here representing Borrego Solar Systems, joined by Ken Conti, a professional land surveyor. This in front of you tonight is Cedar Meadow Drive preliminary subdivision plan. It's located off Ward Street. Consists of 3 residential lots, a 1,400 linear foot dead-end street. Lot A contains about 44.9 acres. Lot B, about 63.7 acres. Lot C contains 5.9 acres. We've noted a waiver from the submission requirements of a ANRAD for this project. It is noted that there is a order of conditions issued from for this site in 2020, which has confirmed the wetland lines as shown on these plans.
So just to clarify, there is an order of conditions existing on the property
Correct.
for this subdivision or for the property?
Not for the
Just
subdivision, for the property.
Identifying the wetlands on the property.
Correct.
Because lot B is also a solar field.
It would appear that the proposed roadway goes through a bog system of some sort, wetlands.
It does traverse through wetlands as shown, yes.
I see a reservoir and a bog.
So,
Any questions?
yeah. So lot B, the frontage is a reservoir.
Is it reservoir? I don't
I see reservoir right up against the cul-de-sac.
Right, we'd need them to identify the wetland resource area, so, in order to look at this, because it's very tight in there, and,
Yeah, I mean, you can't,
I would think we'd need recommendations from Concom on it. And have you filed an ANRAD for this project?
As noted, ANRAD has not been filed for this project. The wetland lines have been confirmed through an order of conditions.
I have a question, Chair.
Please.
Can you access Lot B from the frontage it's proposed? Obviously, on the scale we're looking at, it's kind of hard to say where the reservoir is and where the upland is, so.
Yes, it can be accessed. There may be necessary wetland changes to make that happen. Will be coordinated with the Conservation Commission.
Because one of the requirements for creating a lot is to have frontage from the way, or access from the way.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the frontage is illusory. So that's just one of the things that, I think to Mr. Gatsky's point, where you see reservoir, so you have to drill down certainly on Lot B.
Yep. Thank you.
So, you have an order of conditions, was that presented with the application?
I'm not certain if it was included with the application.
If we went on a sidewalk, would it delineate the wetlands? Maybe I should ask Mr. Bott in regards to that. I think an order of conditions, it should have been put in with the application, and again, if Concom felt that met the requirements of an ANRAD, then they would have waived the ANRAD. Have you applied for an ANRAD with this then?
As noted, we have not filed an ANRAD on this project as there's an existing order of conditions,
Okay.
which establishes the wetland lines.
Would that be sufficient to establish?
I don't know, I'll have to talk to Brooke about it and just get it.
All right, because when we go out, if we go on a site walk, I'd like to see, everything staked out.
Yep.
So, we're gonna look into that one, and, if I will accept a motion to continue this to May 24th.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Then Mr. Gasky, if you will.
Aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Glenn Robinson says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else here?
Well, let's find out. Excuse me. Next item is preliminary subdivision plan, Johnson Brothers Cranberries off Fosdick Road, Assessors Map 57, lots 1, 2, and 2A. Map 59, Lot 8. Is there anybody here that would care to speak on it?
Wait a minute, what now?
There's nobody here to present it, so is it appropriate to ask you some questions in regards to this, Mr. Bott?
Yes, you can, I don't know that I've got answers for you.
Is it under singular ownership? Do we have an application by both owners of record? And was an ANRAD filed with the application?
Is it under singular ownership?
It appears that.
Well, I'm writing the questions down.
Oh, yeah. Because this would have had to be signed by,
Second question?
jeez, I get thrown off. Does it have an ANRAD? And, sorry, I get thrown off.
Something about.
Oh, it does, right, if it's not under singular ownership, does it have an application by all parties?
Okay.
Is there some sort of legal? Isn't there one of them, one of these things have an agreement? pending or something
This
like
is
that?
an agreement pending, but I'm not entirely certain, cause I'm wondering where the building setback lines and everything are.
Well, given these, folks aren't here and we don't have a
Right.
to answer those questions, do we wanna maybe consider continuing this to the
I
10th?
think it would be, yeah, I would certainly do that, but I think there's more, there's some questions that we need to
I'm with you.
answer, okay.
But as opposed to the other ones where we kind of,
We had the ability to ask
Yeah.
questions, so, but those are a couple of just my concerns, and then I don't see, a lot setbacks and some of the other, requirements on here. So the chair will accept a motion to continue this till, May 24th?
well, I guess my question was, because we don't have the chance to answer the initial questions, these other folks are gonna be working on answering some of our
Yeah.
questions by May 24th. Do we wanna continue these folks to the 10th? Basically say, come in and tell us your story.
I think that would be much better, because I feel like
We're
the
getting a lot on
24th is getting a
Yeah, I'm
little
making copy
heavy.
for the 24th.
So the chair
I
would
think we're gonna need it.
accept a motion to continue this to the 10th.
I'll make that said motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Mr. Gatsky?
Aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Right. The next order of business is preliminary subdivision plans, Franklin Marsh LLC, off Plymouth Street, Assessors Map 38, Lot 1-0-R, and Map 34, Lot 3-0.R. Is there anybody in attendance that wishes to make a statement in regards to these properties? Seeing none, I am going to ask the same questions, Mr. Vaught, although I don't think the singular nature of the ownership in regards to this property is in question, but certainly some aspects of it. For instance, I know, I believe, and I without doing a site walk, I might be mistaken, but this road appears to be in the middle of previously approved power lines. And I don't see a continuation. I believe this is part of a much the same entity owns bordering lands, and I don't see an ANRAD, and
So one, is the road in the middle of the previous approved power lines? Two, the ANRAD question.
I believe that's this property, yes, and there's a river to what on my plans it would be the east side and bogs, and I believe this is the lot that we previously approved solar on, and so there's continuous ownership over a much larger area in regards to this. And also, I know they're not here to answer this, but I have concerns in regards to the house access.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was
so,
gonna bring up, is it looks like the
'cause
driveway would have to be an easement.
right, and I believe we approved equipment for solar to be in a lot of this area, so there's just questions that need to be asked in regards to this, but I would make a motion to continue this till, May 10th. I would accept a motion to continue this to May 10th.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second it.
So before we continue, is there any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, a question about the ownership, was that,
I think the ownership is continuous to a much larger property. We went out and approved a solar project on that property, if I'm not mistaken.
It says on the application that it's owned by, Craig Weston.
Right, but, and then what we approved was the power lines to run through this particular section of property in order to, put their equipment, so there's a lot of equipment proposed in this area.
right, so when you're saying power lines, is the feed from the, I'm gonna say power lines, I
Yes.
think, you know,
Is that the
Telephone
same,
poles,
is that
yeah.
the same as the property at Eric Weston?
That is, isn't it? I don't know, I just wanna check.
Right, I
'Cause-
thought that was
that-
over by,
Right, but the proposal was to run the power all through here and put all the equipment in that particular area, so I'm just wondering, it should have been on these plans as a concern. Did we motion to continue
I
this
don't,
one?
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that this is to the north of that property.
Oh, no, right there is where we,
No, I think, this is Plymouth
okay,
Street
no, you're
going-
right, 'cause it's up here,
right, right.
so
So
we,
we,
oh,
no,
okay,
no,
so, no, it
we
was my
approved,
mistake.
we approved here.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
So that is not the area that we approved the poles to run through.
alright, so no power lines.
Right, no power lines, but I still would like to see an ANRAD and give them an opportunity to complete their application in regards to, any easements or, anything else in regards to the property. So, just in case the board will accept the motion to continue this to May 10th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Do you have something to say out there?
I was just asking, wasn't it June 10th we were doing the one before when nobody showed up?
No, May 10th.
May 10th, yeah.
But the other three was May
24th, yes.
Correct.
That was June.
No, because, I mean, it's the amount of paperwork on this meeting was, so we're gonna try and split it up. And which one was that? Yeah, that was,
That was, Franklin Marsh.
okay, yep, Franklin March. So, the next order of business is,
We
hmm?
didn't.
Oh, we didn't vote. Mr. Gatsky.
Well, we didn't even second it, so I'm gonna second it.
Okay.
Okay.
Second, the motion to continue it to May 10th.
I vote aye.
Community Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sedillo, aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Next order of business is preliminary subdivision plan, AD Makepeace Company, Wing Kinko, 0 and 46 Federal Road, Assessors Map. 131, Lot 2-4 and 4-3. And is there anybody here to speaking on it? Seeing none? And I have the same questions in regards to whether they've had appropriate ANRADs done on this, if the application is complete. Also, I have questions because it's an industrial, agricultural, and prohibits residential housing outside of a planned neighborhood development. I would like some sort of narrative in regards to, which should have been included in the application, a brief narrative.
Right, so give it that again, please, just so I understand it.
Well, it's in the industrial agricultural zone, so residential is prohibited in that zone except for planned neighborhood development. So this is a commercial subdivision. I just would like to see clarification because there's nobody here to ask. Did they have their ANRAD done, and a brief narrative on what the plans in regards to this are. And I if there's any other concerns or questions, then I would accept the motion to continue this till May 10th.
I'll make that said motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Yeah, just, just a few minutes, just to kinda,
Absolutely, yep.
but this is one that I haven't had a chance at all to look at. Yeah, so, in 5 of 9, there's a delineated line there for zoning district RA and IA.
Page 5 and 9.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not looking at it, but I believe the northern property and across the street was RA, and then this particular property was all IA.
Yes, Mr. Sinai, so your question? Just,
Alright, just making sure that, cause I'm just, it looks to me like so they're creating the whole thing in a subdivision? Including including that zoning RA area? Looking at the locust map. If you look on the front, I'm just trying to make sure. Cause it looks like the IA comes right at the bottom part of Cranberry Box.
Yep,
The
see.
RA and the IA. So are they including that whole thing in one subdivision? Crossing over, 2 zoning districts?
so the question is, does the subdivision plan incorporate both zoning districts?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. So do we have a motion to continue to May 10th?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm satisfied for now.
Oh, sorry, try to cut it off, John, I just want to make sure we're.
Yeah, John Gasky says yes.
Cornelius Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Helen Fadillo says aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
Lost it. Next order of business, topics not reasonably
Now, we
anticipated.
actually have a motion to authorize town council to draft a response to an open meeting law
Oh,
complaint.
yes, you're correct. So next item on the agenda is motion to authorize town council to draft a response to the open meeting law complaint on behalf of the board. Has all of the board received a copy of this?
Yes,
I
I do.
I believe I'm expected to read this out loud.
You know, we probably should be pretty good at knowing what we're supposed to do with these by now.
I'm not.
What did we do last time? Did we read it?
I think he
Then let's
read
read
it
it.
out loud.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's see. This is an open meeting law complaint form received by Jonathan Polani of Save the Pine Barrens, and it is the public body that is subject to this complaint is the Carver Planning Board.
Date?
Date of alleged violation, March 9,
March
2020.
9th, 2022 is the date of the alleged violation. I will read the attached description, but basically, hold a public hearing on the modification with appropriate public notice would be the corrective measures recommended. So, as far as the complaint goes, the Carver Planning Board deliberated outside of public meeting and without notice regarding 2 site plan review and special permit applications by Pinegate Renewables LLC, Pinegate, for projects to be located at 324 and 340 Tremont Street and 62 Rochester Road, the project zones. The 2 projects are large-scale industrial solar within the meaning of the Carver zoning bylaw, and require site plan review and special permit from the board. On July 31st, 2019, the board properly approved the installation of solar panels using steel posts driven into cranberry bogs that sit above the Plymouth Carver Sole Source Aquifer. July 31st decision. In mid-2021, Pinegate decided the steel posts were inadequate and proceeded to install wooden timber poles treated with copper chromated arsenic, CCA, without receiving prior approval from the board through modification of the special permit and a public hearing. The board did not take action until there was a public outcry over CCA contamination. At a meeting on December 28, 2021, without conducting a public hearing, the board approved a modification of the July 31st decision, allowing Pinegate to remove the timber poles and replace them with concrete. The December 28 decision. The decision was filed with the town clerk on January 26, 2022, and captioned Modification of Site Plan Review and Special Permit. The bylaw requires a public hearing for a special permit modification. Large-scale solar is allowed only on a special permit. Carver zoning bylaw 2230-3580. Review of these projects involves a combination of site plan and special permit review. However, it does not alter the necessity of a special permit or public hearing. While site plan review may be modified without a public hearing for minor changes, the same is not true for special permits. The board was required to hold a public hearing in order to approve any changes to the July 31st decision. After January 26, 2022, the board realized a public hearing was required. In order to correct this, the board deliberated outside of public meeting about how to change the December 28 decision to avoid a public hearing. On information and belief, deliberations were had among and between board members at the direction of the chair, Mr. Mackey, about how to fix this error. In a series of conversations among and between board members and with seeming intent to violate the law, the chair, and on information and belief with the advice of town council KP Law, deliberated and I made a decision to strike the word special permit. Rename the December 28th decision as modification of site plan and then resubmit to the town clerk. This new decision was filed with the town clerk and date stamped March 9, 2022. The board is clearly a public body. The various conversations between various members of the board, possibly at different times, constitutes a deliberation because these multiple conversations were either a quorum or taken together to make a quorum. Furthermore, these deliberations were concerning a matter that was before the board and within its jurisdiction and rise above a general communication of an agenda or scheduling. By modifying the July 31st, 2019 decision without public hearing and then attempting to avoid the law by renaming its December 28th decision, the board violated GLC 30A sections 18 through 25 by failing to hold a public hearing and deliberating outside of a public meeting. The board also failed to list the documents and exhibits it relied on in making the December 28th decision. That is the full body of the complaint. And having read that, I would like to see if I could request you, Mr. Vaught, to find out if that indeed needs to be read into the public record or if it could just be submitted into the record. If you could check on that for us.
Just as a general rule for an open meeting law complaint?
Right, yes.
So, but at this point, the board does need to vote to authorize,
Yes.
to forward this to town council. And with that, we'll ask for further direction from town council about how to,
Okay, good.
was that the nature of your question?
Yes, it was,
Okay.
it was, yep. So, the board will accept the motion to authorize town council to draft a response to the open meeting law complaint on behalf of the planning board.
I'll make that said motion.
Second.
John Gasky says aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sodillo, aye.
Richard Dino and I.
All right. Topics not reasonably anticipated by the chairman 48 hours in advance of the meeting. There is none that I am aware of. Other business. Planning board members. Notes. Chairman. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
You have anything prepared?
right. Nothing. No. We miss you, Bruce Mackey. Thank you very much for all your service to the board. Anybody else have any? Planning director notes.
Yes, I wanted just to touch base, and we sort of did during the course of the meeting on, town meeting and the votes that were taken at town meeting. I think most of the articles passed, by a good sized margin. The ones that were petitioned, I wasn't there for the last night, but I understand that the final petitioned articles of the Tuesday, April 19th meeting didn't pass. So we've got the RDA associated articles, the moratorium on solar, the moratorium on battery storage, and signed bylaw. So, and as I said before, when town meeting votes, the bylaw is effective at that point. Our job now as the staff is to put together the information and send it to the Attorney General in a very glamorous number called the Form 7s. So we'll be putting together all this documentation, giving it to the town clerk, who will forward it to the Attorney General for their review.
No.
I don't anticipate have done this for quite a few town meetings, 50 something.
Right. They have roughly 90 days in general.
Yeah, but I don't anticipate that we're going to hear from the council, from the Attorney General, other than your stuff's fine.
Yep.
So along that line, working with the town clerk, our zoning bylaw is just sort of one of the things that's important at this point is to make sure that chain of custody moves forward with amending the bylaw based on the latest, greatest version of the 2020 bylaw. So I've been talking with town council to make sure I've got the final version of those things, and she and I will be working together to put those changes into the bylaw that we send to the Attorney General as well. This is what before was, this is what was proposed, and this is what the bylaw looks like after. So we're working on getting all those things buttoned up as well, and we'll be over the next couple weeks. She just had an election, so she's got plenty of stuff to do. So she told me I don't have to hurry, but I want to get it out of my office. So we'll be working on this on Thursday to put those Form 7s together and get them down the pipe. That's where we're at with that. Whether people are grandfathered or not is one of those questions that we'll be continuing to discuss. Did some property submit an article? Did some property submit an application? And that will play out through the course of looking at these sort of things. But we are where we're at, and we'll move forward and process all this stuff and see where things shake out as far as applications and town meeting votes. Secondly, tomorrow night we've got 2 training sessions proposed. I wanted to do these after the election, so we knew who was going to be, and we talked about this like the first day I was here, so we didn't know who was going to be running for election and things. And by the way, congratulations, Rich.
Thank you.
So with that, and knowing the time that I would be here, I wanted to be, at that meeting to kind of keep this, chain of custody going on. So I'm going to be here for longer than that. So not so pressing to have a meeting tomorrow night, but that's where we're at. We've got Amy Quissell, our town council, who's going to be presenting on introduction to the Zoning Act. We've got members of the Zoning Board of Appeals who will be attending as well at the fire station across the way. It's a training session by CPTC, and the contract we have with them says the people who are signed up for the meeting get to come and get the information. So while it's a public body and it's in a public building, it's not necessarily a public meeting because we're not deliberating on things. But I did have both boards posted just to make sure that everything was fine with that. So what I've got for you tonight are the handouts that we're going to have tomorrow night in the PowerPoint presentations as well. And give them to you, so you have them, bring them with you tomorrow. You guys, get extra special review because the ZBA didn't meet tonight. They didn't get copies of these things. They'll be looking up tomorrow. But we'll work through all of these things. And so like I said, this is probably, I've been to more than a dozen of these in various forms. And I said, given this talk on roles and responsibilities of the planning and zoning boards, this is probably my 5th time or so doing this chat. And so it's always nice to have somebody who doesn't know you to talk about things. But in this case, because of the short time frame, I volunteered to do it just to make sure we had a presenter available to get this thing done. So we'll have a lovely time tomorrow night. We'll get things done. And as we have questions that come up, we'll deal with those. And my apologies for having you guys meet back to back. But we just wanted to get that window in there and get this stuff done.
Oh, absolutely.
Where are we getting together to meet?
Fire station across the way.
Go on the left side, is that?
Those are questions I don't know.
I'm gonna say yes then.
I'll confirm it to you. I will be over there tomorrow beforehand to make sure the setup's all right, because I've got extra things on the screen. So tomorrow and stuff.
So,
Thank you.
as far as tomorrow goes, I will endeavor to make it there on time, but I will be coming from Martha's Vineyard,
Okay.
so no guarantees.
And I talked to you about the same thing, about getting there a little late.
Yeah, so we'll, I will happily do a recap for those things as well, to make sure that, we don't have any loss of those things. So you got that stuff. They do a pretty good job. This is probably the 4th or 5th iteration of the materials that they put together. It doesn't have the changes from the MBTA law, so when it talks in here about passing a zoning bylaw, it talks about 2/3. It doesn't have the information about the simple majority for housing things. But for the most part, these are fresh off the presses from our folks at friends at CPTC. So look forward to that tomorrow night. We'll have some snacks and some drinks so people can keep up their strength. And I anticipate we'll have a nice meeting. We did invite our neighbors. I reached out to Plimpton, to Rochester, and to Kingston, because the CPTC allows you to have up to 20 people come. I haven't gotten the RSVPs back to them to know who might be coming from them. But it's always good to meet your neighbors and hear some of the things they might be doing, and some of the things that you find out that you're not the only ones who are going, why is this so crazy? Why are all these things that we have to do so Massachusetts? We'll see what kind of turnout we get for them. But I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night and having a nice chat about what we got going on and how we try to sort out the things we got to sort out.
What time are we meeting again?
6 o'clock. Because we're trying to do 2 of them, I didn't want you to be here well past 9:38 2 nights in a row.
I think we did pretty good overall considering the time.
I think you did well.
Well, thank you very much. I was
Absolutely.
very nervous and
Very good,
confused and was really hoping that... All right, so discussion we just had.
Well, just escaped me.
I know the feeling. I will accept the motion to approve the minutes of 3/22/2022.
Second that? Make that motion. John's still thinking.
No, go ahead and second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Gatsky?
Aye.
Keneally Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Ellen Sedillo, aye.
Richard Dion, aye.
All right. the chair will accept a motion to approve the minutes of 4/12/2022.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mr. Gatsky.
Aye.
Mary Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Owens Sedillo, aye.
Richard Dion says aye.
And who moved the approval of the 412 minutes?
I believe Ms. Sordillo moved them and Mr. Dion
Dion
seconded them.
Okay.
The chair will now accept a motion for adjournment.
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, wait, one moment, please.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that went out there Saturday and voted. Nice to see everyone participating. Hope to see you again next voting time.
And congratulations, Mr. Dion. I forgot to mention it. There is a lot going on in my head.
Yes, I do
so,
know that. Thank you very much, Mr. Shea.
So we have an opening.
Yes, very good point. How many are we allowed? One or two? I don't know, but we certainly have
One.
space for an alternate on the planning board. It's well worth it. It's civic service and will make you feel good and clean your soul.
So the associate member for the planning board is a joint appointment of the planning board and the select board.
Yep.
So I think I mentioned this prior to anticipating that Rich might, be elected and we'd have that position open. So I've already kind of laid out the potential for a joint meeting with the boards to have that meeting. I mean, you can do them separately, but it's sort of nice to sit together in a room for at least one night for a couple minutes to talk about those kind of things. We'll officially advertise that as best we can to see what kind of candidates we get, and then set up a meeting with the planning board and the select board a little later on. The other thing I had previously just suggested as maybe potential for that joint meeting is also a discussion of bringing the Mullen Rule back to town meeting and getting that approved so somebody can miss a meeting and still vote on things, because I think that's handy to have.
Yeah.
We've got those in regarding advertisement. As you know, the Carver Reporter is not going to have a print copy anymore. So we will now be advertising in the Patriot Ledger. So those folks who are used to going, and reading all the news that's in the Carver Reporter and looking for that ad, well, there won't be a paper ad. They'll still be online. So those ads will be published in the Patriot Ledger. It's the newspaper of general circulation. And until the legislature does something about the fact that there's a diminishing number of local papers, the law says you will publish the article, you'll publish a hearing in a paper of general circulation not less than 15 days prior to the hearing. So there are people. So rate's still the same for the time being, but those print ads will be in the ledger.
I remember now what I wanted to talk about was website. The planning board's website is a couple years behind, it looks like.
Couple, you're generous.
I must say, Mr. Vaught has made remarkable advances in this short period of time he's been
as
here.
far as from a citizen's point of view, the latest zoning bylaws that are available for somebody to review are from 2019, and they have handwritten corrections in there, so they were kind of look like they were a draft copy that are in there, as well as the last zoning map that we have. A usable zoning map that we have is from 2015, and the one from 2017 is a low resolution PDF, possibly something that's, and just to name a few of the things. And I think we really need to get that updated so that people can stay up to date on that. I don't know what we got to do to get that done, but
well, the zoning bylaw is the easy one.
Yeah.
Because we're in the midst of taking the 2020 bylaw, and as I understand from talking to the clerk today, the issues with the 2020 bylaw, there was maybe it was the floodplain bylaw that was passed. It's in sort of a format that she looked at and goes, I don't know what to do. I mean, how do I try to piece this in? And I said, well, let me take a look at it and put that together. So the 2020 isn't on that, apparently because there was just not the resources to figure out what's up with 2020. So she's given me the bylaw, the floodplain bylaw, and so over the next couple of weeks we'll be working on incorporating that in the new stuff.
Right.
So in sometime in the next, you're a young man, sometime sure enough, we'll have the latest zoning bylaw up there.
Okay.
Regarding mapping, mapping is a major issue. It's that's why when people change zoning bylaws, they have a chart of like the marijuana overlay districts. They're a chart of things. So I take that chart and I get assessors maps and I go through and I start crayoning the assessors maps to identify these parcels. Then I get them all together and then I glue them all together so I know where it's at.
Yeah.
It's cut and paste in a way that was before computers.
Yep.
So I'm sort of sorting this out, but we have I don't really have a GIS component here per se. Joe Roach, the assessor, and I have talked about it. We apparently have got some sort of agreement with ESRI, and at some point we'll delve into that because it's important to understand those things. When I'm looking at the zoning map, I'm kind of doing a compare the shapes
Right.
to figure out where
that's what I'm doing.
where things are at. So that makes things take a bit longer
Yeah.
to get to. So the mapping is clearly an issue and something we're going to have to resolve, and probably something we're going to have to go to a future town meeting for some funding for some of those sort of things.
The next item, our packets, since everything's they're requiring digital submissions of everything. Is there any way that your department could email us the packages so that we could get them like the week prior to the weekend, so we have time enough to review everything? Obviously, this was an unusual occurrence, but I know there are definitely times where we get a lot in, and it helps to be able to have as much time as possible to review everything.
Yeah, and that's what we've done. That's what I've done in other places. That's what conversations I had with the staff about that, about having things digitally available, as well as getting something other than just a stack of goodies,
Right.
like a book with inserts in it. So you get a book, and you just kind of skip through the book. A full set of plans will be tucked in there, but the reports in the 8.5 by 11s will be in there. So it's just a little easier to slog through. So you got a great staff here. Michelle and Jill and Jen are all terrific. Jen works, I think, 12 hours a week, something like that, and she's our internet person. We're working with the resources we got and trying to move the ball along, and we'll keep pushing it.
Yeah.
Best we can with the resources.
Again,
we got.
you've made remarkable strides, so it's much appreciated.
Yeah, and then the last thing, I guess, is the dark horse from the town meeting is that we should be commissioning the bylaw committee, the zoning bylaw committee, to start working on the battery storage bylaws and updating the solar bylaws.
Yes, and I expect there'll be a restructuring of that committee, and we'll be looking for a couple new members anyways.
So do
And
we
we'll also
need
need-
to direct that committee?
We
to
actually,
work on that, or
currently I sit on it with Bruce Mackey, and the planning board decided 2 planning board members should be on it, so hopefully Bruce Mackey will stay on the committee, but then we're still gonna need at least 1 or 2, and we should probably vote on the 2 members, again, make it an annual thing.
yeah.
Because there's a couple issues, we get the solar and the batteries, and those are enormous projects.
12 months is going to come up real quick.
Real quick.
Because it's already May.
The chair will accept the motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Mr. Gatsky?
Let's take us out of here. Aye.
Cornelia Shea says aye.
Kevin Robinson, aye.
Melissa Below, aye.
Richard Dion, aye.
Thank you, Area 58.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Tom.